sometimes life has a way of stopping you in your tracks, figuratively and literally. A couple of weeks ago, I injured my hip and I went from walking and doing all the things I normally do to being stuck in bed, being in pain, and not knowing how long it would last or how much it would affect my future. But in the middle of all of the difficulty, I came across a couple of things that have helped me to keep a positive outlook, and so I wanted to share those with you today, as well as a story of what happened with my hip. Who knew you could tear something in your hip without even knowing it? 2 weeks ago, I woke up in extreme pain in the front of my hip. I thought I had strained a hip flexor or something, and I spent the whole day laying in bed in pain, could barely find a position that wasn't uncomfortable, and just hoped that I had strained something and the next day I would feel better. But when I woke up the next morning, I felt exactly the same way. I decided to go to urgent care, spent the rest of the day there, and the doctor there did some tests and did an x-ray, came back and told me that he found some osteoarthritis in my hip, which is a little early. I'm 42. He said that most likely I had torn my hip labrum, which I have learned is like, if you picture the ball and socket of your hip joint, the ball being the top of your leg bone and the socket being part of your pelvis that is your hip, there is a rim of cartilage that goes around the opening of that socket part of the joint that kind of extends the size of the socket part. And if this is the cartilage, it can kind of tear that way away from where it attaches at the hip. This can happen one of two ways, either from some sort of trauma, some sort of accident, or it can happen over time, kind of like a wear and tear situation, which is, I suppose, what happened with me. It was just so crazy to just wake up in the morning in extreme pain and having no idea what I had done. The only clue I had that anything was wrong was that for a couple of weeks leading up to this, I was noticing, like, when I would go for walks and my left leg would extend back all the way as you're walking, it felt a little bit like restricted in the end range and a little bit sore compared to the other side. I just thought maybe I'd strained something in the gym, or like, I don't know, overdid something and it just needed to heal, or I needed to take it easy. But then the night before this happened, I was noticing it again, and I thought, oh, maybe I need to stretch it. So I tried a few stretches, and then in the morning when I woke up in pain, I thought maybe I had overdone the stretching, but perhaps I tore something kind of important inside of me. So I'm on a waiting list for an MRI to confirm whether it is a tear in the labrum. I just got an appointment to see a sports medicine doctor, not till the middle of January. So for the first few days after this happened, I was in so much pain that even laying in my bed or sitting in my bed, I couldn't get myself into any position that didn't hurt most of the time. And I would try to change positions and it would hurt even more. And I had been told that with a labrum tear, because it's cartilage, it doesn't heal very well, or sometimes at all, because there's not a lot of blood flow to the area. And so I really didn't know what to expect as far as pain levels between when it happened and when I got any sort of treatment, or even found out for sure if that's even what the problem was. So for the first few days, laying there suffering, all I could do was think about how much it hurt, how much I was suddenly unable to do, and what that meant about the future. I did research about surgery, I did research about physiotherapy, lots of negative outcomes either way to think about and consider, and I could feel how easy it was to spiral down into the negative thoughts of all of the possible negative what-ifs, all of the current negative things that were going on, the pain, and I could just feel my thoughts going there. And I just thought, I don't want to dwell in this. Like, sure, acknowledge that this is difficult, sure, have those feelings, but I didn't want to just dwell in those and get pulled down deeper and deeper into this negativity and just feel terrible all the time, when already physically I felt terrible. So I kind of gave myself an assignment to pull out a notebook and make a list of all the positive things currently in my life, despite the pain and the difficulty, and also the positive what-ifs, because it's so easy to think about the negative what-ifs and to dwell on those and worry about those and try to think of solutions for those, but all of those are just what-ifs and we don't know the outcome. So I wanted to give myself the assignment to think about the positive what ifs. And so I did that. I just wrote as many things as I could think of that I'm grateful for right now. Like, I'm grateful that my bedroom is on the main floor, the same floor as the kitchen and the bathroom and my office, when the day comes that I can travel there instead of just working from my laptop. I'm grateful that my bedroom has a sliding glass door, so even when I'm laying in bed, I can see outside. Grateful we live in the country and we have a beautiful view outside, so even though I'm laying in bed, I can still see the outdoors. I'm grateful for my husband and my kids and the help that they are to me, and I could go on and make a list of positive things that exist in the now despite the negative ones. And then as for the what ifs, so easy to think of, like, well, what if I'm in pain for the rest of my life? What if this limits my mobility forever? What if I get surgery and have other problems as a result? What if I don't get surgery and that leads to worse arthritis down the line? Like, there's so many things to think about. I decided to start thinking about those flipped. So flip the script and think about the positive alternative. What if this leads to me finding the physiotherapy that helps me with some of the hip and back issues that I've been having for some time now? What if I learn how to maintain proper mechanics to prevent this from hurting more in the future and to prevent future issues that could be caused by continuing the way that I am now? What if I learn or become stronger, like mentally, emotionally, and just dealing with difficult times, learning to be happy despite circumstances? And the other gratitude practice that I've been doing is just simply noticing, paying attention to, and savoring the little moments that are good. So in the beginning, it was very difficult to walk or get around, but I was able to slowly walk out onto the deck through the door in my room and get onto a chair and recline. And that was a painful process, but once I got out there, I could sit reclined in a chair on the deck and enjoy the fall breeze and my surroundings and still get outside and enjoy that. Even though I would have liked to be out on a fall walk, I was still sad that I'm missing that right now as the leaves are in their glory. But I'm able to get outside and enjoy the view, enjoy being out there. Recently, my husband and daughter went for a fall walk outside. It's been a while now, so I can walk around a little bit, and I went outside with them and took a few steps down the driveway. I didn't go very far, but even that was like something to be enjoyed. Just breathing the fall air, seeing the trees and leaves around me, and being happy that I can take some steps, even though I turned around pretty quickly and had to head home while they continued on. So if I could give you some advice for staying positive during difficult times, whether you're dealing with something big or small, physical or otherwise, I have a few suggestions for you. The first is acknowledge the difficulty, but don't dwell in it. So even with that other flipping the script exercise with the what ifs that I gave you, you could start by writing out the negative things, acknowledge what they are, the things that are negative now, the negative what ifs, and then make a second column and write out the flipped version of that, the positive, either the positive version of that thing or just additional positive possibilities and current situations. Find gratitude in the small everyday moments, and for me that could be as simple as taking a few steps, or recently, now that it's been a couple of weeks since this happened to me, I'm really excited when I can walk standing upright instead of bent over or limping. Even though I get tired and sore after a little bit of time, it's exciting that I can even do it. I would also suggest breaking challenges into manageable little pieces, taking little baby steps, making it feel tackleable when the big picture seems impossible or overwhelming. I don't know what's going to be best for me in the future, whether that's physiotherapy alone or combined with surgery, and what kind of recovery that may take and what that means for my future. And when I start thinking about all of that, I get pretty overwhelmed. So focusing and narrowing in on what I can do today, what I know is good in this moment, is a lot more helpful to me. And next is to create space for rest and reflection, whether that's physical rest like I have to have right now, or resting your mind, resting your heart, whether you're taking time to do some of the activities that I've talked about in past videos with meditation or journaling, or just taking time to yourself and just slowing down, taking a minute, letting your mind wander, just resting. And then embracing the moment, even if it's imperfect. there are little positives that I'm finding in this difficult time. Each time a friend reaches out to ask how I'm doing, or sends me a message with some recommendations for some shows to watch, or books to get from the library, or a funny story. And reframing your setbacks as opportunities. I can see lots of ways that this is a setback. I can see lots of ways this is negative. But when I take a step back and try to look for what possible opportunities there are in it, especially for me, really that came from that what-if exercise. As you can see those, you can start to see the possible opportunities that come from the difficult thing. And you can see how down the line in the future you may look back on this time and realize that it was an opportunity in some way, and that it brought you some kind of growth or positive thing in your life. And so I really hope that whatever difficult thing you're facing right now, whether it's big or small, physical or not, you can use some of these gratitude practices and find some relief, find some joy, find some hope.